Hello everyone, my name is Shabrina Mason, and I will be talking to you all about the intellectual developmental disorder. Intellectual developmental disorder falls under the category of a neurodevelopmental disorder. So, to have intellectual developmental disorder, um, the following three criteria must be met. A person needs to have a deficit in intellectual functions, which some examples of intellectual functions are problem solving, academic learning, planning, and reasoning. A person also needs to exhibit deficits in adaptive functioning that result in failure to meet developmental and social cultural standards for personal independence and responsibility. So this could include performing daily living skills independently, um, social participation, and also living independently. Um, the intellectual functions as well as the adaptive functioning need to occur within the developmental period. So this is usually between the childhood and adolescent years. The intellectual disability diagnosis is based on both clinical assessment and standardized testing of individual and adaptive functions. Um, an IQ is usually the tool that measures intellectual functioning, and a test score below or around 70 or as high as 75 indicates a limitation in intellectual functioning. Individuals who have a deficit in intellectual functioning will also be assessed to see if there's a deficit in adaptive functioning as well. So with adaptive functioning, it consists of three domains. It consists of conceptual, which can be language, memory, reading, and writing skills. Social, um, a person being aware of others' thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Practical, which is learning and self-management across life settings. It's important to note that criterion B is met when at least one domain of adaptive functioning is sufficiently impaired that ongoing support is needed in order to perform adequately in one or more life settings. It's also important to note that deficits in adaptive functioning must directly be related to intellectual impairment described in criterion A. There are four levels of intellectual disability. There's mild, moderate, severe, and profound. And the various levels of severity are defined on the basis of adaptive functioning and not IQ scores, because adaptive functioning usually determines the level of supports that individual requires to maintain quality of life. Intellectual disability is usually noticed in the developmental stages. So, like I said previously, that's in between childhood and adolescent years. Parents or daycare workers or teachers, they'll usually notice a certain delay in areas such as motor skills, language, and social milestones. This usually can be identified within the first 2 years of a child's life. Mild intellectual disability may be identified later on during school age years, as opposed to severe intellectual disability, which can be identified earlier on, um, and it's sometimes due to physical appearance. Some noteworthy information about intellectual disability is that it occurs in all races and cultures. Um, this disability is generally non-progressive, but it is a chronic condition. It is a chronic disorder. So um, a person will never be cured from an intellectual disability. And people who are diagnosed with intellectual disabilities, um, it usually co-occurs with mental disorders. Um, Intellectual disability has an overall general population prevalence of approximately 1%, and the prevalence usually varies by age. Males are more likely than females to be diagnosed with mild and severe intellectual disability. So I chose two videos to show the functioning levels of intellectual disability. So one video is an individual who has a mild intellectual disability, and the other video is of an individual who has severe intellectual disability. So I hope you enjoy the PowerPoint and enjoy the videos as well.